The mic is hot, guys. This is OE MMA TV. I'm your host, OE. Like and subscribe if you are new to the channel. It takes minimal effort to give me the thumbs up, so you already know. You might as well do it. Thank you for supporting independent MMA media, guys. And like I always say, this is your channel. The only channel where the fans come first, not last. Guys, I did want to go live today, prior to UFC 326, headlined by Max Holloway and Charles Oliveira. Guys, I want to go on here on this live and talk specifically about this new era that is upon us, Paramount and the UFC, guys. Guys, I'm just gonna say facts, okay? A lot of different channels out here are complaining. And look, everybody has the right to have their own opinion. And that's facts, guys. Okay? That is facts. You have the right to have your own opinion, and you have the right to actually talk about your own opinion as well. Especially if you have your own channel. You know what I mean? I mean, some of these channels have like over 50 to 100,000 subscribers. It's a sad story right now because, in my opinion, they're just passing, propaganda out there, guys. Okay? Straight facts, guys. But I do want to talk about this because there's a lot of different channels who are, who have much more of a following than I do, and they're talking about the UFC. They're talking about, this new Paramount deal of how bad the UFC has actually approached 2026 and how bad these cards have been for the beginning of 2026. Now, guys, look. I'm going to be honest. Have the cards delivered in a sense, where you're looking at it from the past and you're like, you know what? That was a great card. That was a great card. All right. Look, guys, UFC 324 was the first card of the Paramount deal for 2026, okay? How you doing? Welcome to your channel and welcome to your chat, guys. Like and subscribe if you are new to the channel, okay? It takes minimal effort to give me the thumbs up, so you already know. You might as well do it, guys. Easier than going to your local ATM, guys, okay? Honestly, guys, all you got to do is press a little button, a little thumbs up, guys. I appreciate each and every one of you guys from the bottom of my corazón, guys, okay? I appreciate you for supporting this community. But, guys, let's talk more specifically about what, the consensus is in this MMA community. A lot of different channels are actually talking like the UFC is a letdown. Okay, let me get a drink here. And I'm going to be honest, guys. Has the UFC been a letdown since the new Paramount deal has entered? That's the topic of discussion today, guys, all right? And I'm going to look back. I'm going to look back right now because, look, I'm just going to be honest with you. Let's look back at some fights here, okay? Waldo Cortez Acosta versus Derek Lewis. That was going to be a banger. I thought going into that fight that Derek Lewis was going to actually stand on his 2 feet and actually give a real tough fight to Waldo Cortez Acosta. And most likely it was going to be a barn burner. That's what I thought. But unfortunately, this isn't the same Derek Lewis that we have, guys. This is the same situation that happened just, last weekend with Brandon Moreno. I put the house on Brandon Moreno, and look at what happened to Brandon Moreno. He got beat by a guy who much younger, way more athletic, and not only that, but he was coming off of a 3-week notice. So I thought Brandon Moreno, with his experience, he'll be able to beat him, but not so far, guys. Easier said than done, and Derek Lewis is in the same position, okay, because he actually had time to train against, Waldo Cortez Acosta, and Waldo Cortez Acosta went in there and finished him quickly, guys. Was that an exciting fight like I thought it would be? Not at all, guys. Not even close, okay? let's look at the rest of this card. This is UFC 324 now, guys. Okay, we got Omar Nurmagomedov versus Deiveson Figueiredo. That's another fight that I thought was going to be a banger, just because we have a former champ. Excuse me, we have a former champion in Deiveson Figueiredo, and if you look back at his career, he has a lot of banger fights. Look at his fights with Brandon Moreno alone. Banger fight. So I thought this was going to be another banger fight, but it really wasn't, guys. It definitely underperformed. If I have to say something, it definitely underperformed. And let's look at the rest of this card right now. We got Sean O'Malley versus Song Yadong. Guys, that fight was not exciting at all. At all. I don't care what anybody says. Okay? Sean O'Malley landed significant strikes in the third round. Don't get me wrong. Okay? But that was in the third round. That fight was atrocious, guys. None of those guys deserve to fight for a belt. That's a fact. Okay? And now let's go to the main event of the evening, which is Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett. Guys, that definitely delivered. Now, I definitely knew for a fact that was going to be a banger. And I already chose Justin Gaethje to actually win this fight, guys. And that's exactly the way it went. That's exactly the way it happened. Okay? Now, with that said, guys, was this card an exciting card? Not really. It was a good card, but it wasn't something that you would be screaming for the hills. Okay? Gene Silver versus Arnold Allen, excuse me. That was an okay fight. You know what I mean? But was it something that you scream, up on the hills for? Not really, guys. Okay, not really. So I have to say, UFC 324, did it deliver or did it underdeliver? I'll say UFC 324 definitely delivered. It delivered, and the reason why it delivered was mainly because of the main event of the evening. And that's facts. Okay, that's facts. Moving on now. Okay, we had Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett, and now the UFC 325 was next. It was Volk versus Lopez. Did this card deliver? Guys, I'll have to say this card did not deliver. I can tell you right off the bat, Thaleson Teixeira versus Taila Tuivasa was atrocious. Atrocious, guys. These are supposed... Thaleson Teixeira is supposed to be, a high rank, number 15 rank in that division. And we have Taila Tuivasa, who's number 12 ranked, highly ranked in that heavyweight division. And let me tell you something, guys. They both look like dead bodies in that third round, guys. And how you doing, The Bull? Okay, like and subscribe if you are new to the channel, okay? Takes minimal effort, guys, okay? Support the community. Support the community, guys. Taila Tuivasa and Thaleson Teixeira is the epitome of the condition, okay? The condition of where the heavyweight division is right now, okay? Atrocious. Line them up on the highway and run them over, guys, okay? Atrocious. Look, UFC 325, in my opinion, did not deliver. It was an okay card. It was an okay card, but in my opinion, it didn't deliver, okay? Rafael Fiziev versus Ruffy. That was an exciting fight. Ruffy went out there and got the knockout. I didn't think he was going to get the knockout. Phenomenal knockout. And then we had Dan Hooker versus Benoit Saint-Denis. That was a good performance from both men, but Dan Hooker got dominated, obviously. And then we had Alexander Volkanovski, another rematch that didn't even have to happen as early as it happened. I mean, Diego Lopez, there was not enough time for him to make significant changes at this second go against Alex Volkanovski, and that's facts, guys. But moving on, did UFC 325 deliver? I'll say it definitely under-delivered. If you live in Canada and you're paying for UFC 325, I feel sorry for you. I feel for you. But guess what, guys? The United States have that issue for a very, very long time. And guess what? I appreciate the fact that now all I need is a subscription with Paramount and I get to watch the UFC for basically free, guys. I don't have to shell out $80 every fucking month, okay? Moving on, guys. We have Batista versus Oliveira. Guys, that card was atrocious. I'm just being honest, guys. That card was atrocious. Atrocious, I must say. Then we had Strickland versus Hernandez. that card was a fun card. It was a fun card. It wasn't a terrible card. It was a fun card. You know what I mean? You had some fun fights on there. Excuse me. I mean, you got Michelle Pereira on there, put on a phenomenal for performance. Excuse me. Uh, you had Melguezo, I forgot his name, Melguezo Costa versus Dan Ige, and Costa went in there and knocked out Dan Ige, phenomenal performance. And then you had Medic go out there and knock out Jeff Neal, and then you had Strickland go out there and knock out Anthony Hernandez. So overall, if I have to be honest, this UFC Fight Night card it delivered. In my opinion, it delivered. Christian. How you doing, Christian? Welcome back to your channel and welcome back to your chat. Right now, we're actually talking about specifically about this new Paramount deal with UFC and Paramount. And has it delivered? Has it under-delivered? How is the UFC looking right now, going into 2026? And right now, they're not looking too great, okay? I'm actually grading their cards as it goes, and right now Strickland and Hernandez, in my belief, it did deliver. Okay, it did deliver. Now we have Brandon Moreno versus Caveat, guys. In my opinion, that card didn't deliver. Atrocious night. This card, honestly, I could have done without. Daniel Zellhuber, he can't buy a win, guys. The guy can't buy a win. I can't believe I put some money on him. I put some units on Daniel Zellhuber. I should have put it on King Green, knowing that Daniel Zellhuber cannot beat anyone. He can't buy a fucking win against a true veteran competitor. Atrocious. And then now we have UFC 326, okay? And look, let me look back real fast. So this was okay. I'm trying to grade this as it goes right now, okay? UFC 324, I say delivered. And it delivered because of the main event of the evening, okay? So that's the reason why. UFC 325 definitely didn't deliver, okay? Did not, okay? UFC Fight Night, Batista versus Oliveira, trash, okay? Straight trash. Strickland versus Hernandez, UFC Fight Night. I think that one definitely delivered, in my opinion. There was some great knockouts, great performances. Moreno versus Caveat, guys, definitely under delivered, especially the fact that Moreno, atrocious. All right, guys. So if I had to grade the UFC right now, for just the beginning of 2026 right now, let me see. If this was a scoring grade right now, okay, if this was a scoring grade right now, guys, 1 being trash, 10 being best, I'm giving the start of 2026 for UFC and Paramount. I'm giving them a grade of a 3. I'm giving them a grade of a 3.5. Okay, a solid 3.5. 3.5 out of 10, guys. Okay, let me read some of the comments. Well, I can guarantee you, UFC Fight Night, Las Vegas, Nevada, Mario Batista versus Oliveira, absolutely atrocious card. Still give that card a 4.1 out of 10. Look, I definitely agree with you, Christian. I agree with you, and that's the reason why overall, if I'm giving a grade to these cards, right? If I'm giving an overall grade to these cards, you know what? That's kind of low. I'm sorry, guys. That's kind of low. I'm gonna go with a 4.5. Okay, if I had to give a grade to all these cards and grade all of them into one, it's been a 4.5 out of 10. Okay, so 1 being trash, 10 being best. I'm giving it a 4.5, 4.5. Not very good for the UFC, but not very bad for the UFC, considering the fact that, they've had some good moments right there. You know what I mean? They have some good moments. Have has the has it delivered the way I've wanted the UFC to deliver, their cards? Definitely not, guys. It's definitely under delivered. It really has. And that's just my opinion. I don't know how everybody else is feeling, but the consensus is right now that the UFC and Paramount deal is atrocious right now, especially with the cards that they're delivering. So, I mean, there definitely needs to be some big changes moving forward with the with this new deal. And I do understand that the UFC has new guaranteed money, but they have to do better. They have to do better, guys. And honestly, you know, the topic of discussion not only is grading the beginning of this UFC year, but honestly, the topic of discussion is losers and winners, guys. Okay, let me get a drink. Winners and losers, guys. In my opinion, I think the losers of this situation right now. Excuse me, gotta check my mic. The losers of this situation right now would have to be the fans. The fans are the first ones to lose in this situation. The reason being is because, guys, we're especially me, guys. I've been watching the UFC since like 2002, 2003. As a true fan, I've been watching it since then. Okay, and back then, the UFC they were stacking cards, and the reason why they were stacking cards is because they knew for a fact that they had to put themselves in position to beat other, organizations. They had to beat other televised, uh, entertainment. So they knew for a fact every week they had to come up with a great card. They couldn't come out with trash. Even the UFC Fight Night cards were you know, great back then. Now, with this, guaranteed money, Paramount giving them, $7.7 billion, the UFC is a little bit more, a little bit more laxed in the fact of, making cards. I mean, that's the way it looks, at least from the fans' perspective. Now, the fans are the first losers, but also, in my opinion, I think the fighters are the second ones to lose because the fighters, look, you look for change. You know what I mean? Especially when there's a new, merger like Paramount, and where when there's billions of dollars being exchanged at any given moment. You expect, the fighters to have some type of change, and unfortunately, there hasn't really been much change when it comes to their payouts. Now, I do understand, statistically, when you look at the changes that they have made publicly, that, in my opinion, that's not a huge change. Giving $50,000 bonuses back then and then changing it to $100,000 bonuses, that doesn't really shake up anything because the whole tax situation. You know what I mean? You're still gonna get $50,000 regardless. Now you're just getting the money that you're owed, that you should have been owed back then, and that's facts. So right now, as it stands right now, I'm grading 2026 a 4.5, 4.5 out of 10. One being trash, 10 being best. So in my opinion, it hasn't been a great year. It hasn't been a great start to the year for the UFC, in my opinion. And I do understand they're not, selling out pay-per-views. They're not trying to sell pay-per-views. They're not even trying to, promote and market the way they used to be. Paramount is doing a good job of, promoting and marketing the UFC as it stands right now. I mean, the trailer for UFC 326 is phenomenal. The UFC countdowns and the UFC embeddeds are always there. Rinse and repeat. Those are always looking the same. Christian says, however, UFC Fight Night Houston, Texas, Sean Strickland versus Anthony Hernandez, that card absolutely delivered with high expectations. I still give that card a 7.5 out of 10. Actually, Christian, that's one of the cards that actually saved 2026, in my opinion. That's one of the cards that actually saved 2026. If it wasn't for UFC Fight Night Houston, Texas, and UFC 324, it would be a very, very atrocious atrocious start to 2026. I can tell you that much. And that's facts, okay? So if it wasn't for UFC Fight Night, Houston and UFC 324 main event basically, you know, 2026 would be atrocious and the grade would be horrible right now. But luckily we are here where we are, and I agree. I mean, the consensus is that the UFC is under delivering. And in my opinion, I have to agree with the rest of the MMA community, guys. I have to agree with them. And usually, I try very, very hard to not agree with the rest of these, you know, YouTubers and analysts and all these journalists. I try my best to not agree with them. But in my opinion, if I'm rating this 2026, one being trash, 10 being best, I'm rating it at 4.5. And let me tell you something. I could have rated it less. But here we are, guys. We got Max Holloway versus Charles Oliveira for UFC 326. I mean, this card. If I had to grade this card, okay, 0 being trash, 10 being best. If I had to grade this card right now, I'm giving this card a solid 7. I'm giving this card a solid 7. UFC 326, in my opinion, is a solid 7 out of 10. And you know what? It might actually deliver, and I might actually grade it better once the event is over. But right now, as it stands right now, UFC 326, I'm grading it a 7. And the reason why I'm grading it a 7, guys, is because I'm just being honest with you. Max Holloway and Charles Oliveira, that's a solid 9 type of fight. That's a 10 out of 10 fight, in my opinion. I understand that it's happening years later, out of their prime, but this is a solid 10 out of 10 fight. Max Holloway versus Charles Oliveira. So this definitely is, you know, top heavy. And when it comes to Caio versus Reina de Ritter, guys, both guys are coming off of a loss. So this isn't really an exciting fight. It doesn't have really huge implications at all. Reina de Ritter just got done basically quitting on the stool. And then we got Rob Font versus Raul Rosas Jr., the older, experienced guy fighting the younger, you know, athletic fighter, trying to, you know, get on a win streak. So it's not really an exciting card. But because Charles Oliveira and Max Holloway are fighting each other, and that's a 10 out of 10 fight, in my opinion, it saves the card from being a trash-ass card to being a really, really good card, where I'm scoring it a 7. Okay? I wonder what's going to happen here. You know what I mean? I wonder who's going to headline the UFC fight now. UFC White House card. I do understand Dana White will be, you know, basically going live on his Instagram account and, you know, giving us the breaking news of the whole White House card. I'm just hoping he comes sooner than later, man. I mean, when is he going to do it? On Friday, Saturday, Sunday night or something? You get what I'm saying? Like, he's always getting on late. So I just wonder. But man, UFC Fight Night Mexico, Brandon Moreno versus Caveat, absolutely atrocious card in my opinion. My final rating, I give that card a 2.0 out of 10. Disgusting. Guys, not only was that an atrocious card, but it was an atrocious night for me. Okay, I actually put some bets out there, and I bet the house on Brandon Moreno, and unfortunately, Brandon Moreno definitely didn't show up to fight. Okay, all right. Macy Chiasson, guys, she was a woman beater in the first round, and then she forgot how to fight in the second and third. Pure facts. So when it comes to UFC Mexico, I don't want to hear about UFC Mexico. UFC Mexico was atrocious from beginning to end, and they're lucky that you're actually rating it a 2.0 because in my opinion, that card was a solid fucking big fat 0. Atrocious. But here we are, guys. I wanna actually, listen to Max Holloway in this press conference really fast. I want to listen to him a little bit, and let's listen to Max Holloway a little bit, and let's listen to what he has to say about fighting Charles Oliveira and the whole BMF title belt thing. All right, let's listen to this.
How do you rate his BMF is nurse, and what do you think of him as the opponent? I think he's a BMF. I think he's fitting for sure. A lot of people are making this fight to be a striker versus grappler. They got it all wrong. This guy, even he said it. He was a jiu-jitsu guy before, and now he's an MMA guy. And a lot of his submission wins have been coming from striking first. He's hurting these guys on the feet, then he submitted them. So that's pretty.
He has a good point. Max Holloway has a great point there. You know what I mean? A lot of people, even myself, I can't even deny it. I can't even deny it. Max Holloway is right. A lot of people are actually looking at this fight as a striker versus grappler. But guys, let's understand. Charles Oliveira, he knocked down Michael Chandler and then choked him out. Gamrot, same situation. So, I mean, he's as of late, Charles Oliveira is definitely utilizing his striking to set up his submission game. Okay, so it's definitely not a striker versus grappler situation, but definitely definitely Charles Oliveira has some opportunities if this fight does hit the ground. First things first, Macy Chiasson is, without any other deliberation, a triple American dead body. Daniel Zellhuber, a Mexican Latino American dead body. Look, Christian, I can't disagree with you. Atrocious. When it comes to Macy Chiasson, she forgot how to fight. I don't know what happened. You know what I mean? I don't know what the hell happened to her. I'm just being honest with you. And when it comes to Zellhuber, the guy can't buy a win against a veteran. And that's facts. Let's listen to some more of this interview that Max Holloway has to say in this presser.
Pretty BMF thing to do, so nothing but love for him.
You won the first fight, right? So in a way, it's like, why would you ever want the rematch? But because of the way it ended and because of what Charles Oliveira has become since then, is this a fight you wanted to run back, or is it one when they said to you, "Hey, do you want this?" You went, "Okay, that makes sense."
Oh, I mean, at the end of the day, the first fight was it was a letdown. I'm not gonna even lie about it. I think.
And that's definitely true, guys. That definitely is true. The first fight between both men, excuse me, sorry. The fight between Max Holloway and Charles Oliveira the first time around, it definitely was atrocious. It definitely wasn't, the fight that you wanted to see. It definitely didn't deliver. Charles Oliveira unfortunately went out there and got injured very early in the fight, and you know, a lot of people call him a quitter, but he's changed things since then. All right, but let's listen to Max some more.
Fifth BMF title fight now. In the first one, The Rock wrapped the belt around Masvidal. The second one, Masvidal put it on Gaethje. Third one, Mark Coleman put it on you. Fourth one, Lil Wayne put it on you. Who do you want to wrap the belt around you this time?
The true BMF. If you guys look at my shirt right now, the real BMF is my wife. I would love her to wrap the belt around me. So if everything go great there, you best believe I'm gonna be asking Dana White, be like, "Hey Dana, let my wife do this." She's the real BMF. Everybody think I'm the BMF got the title. You don't want no smoke with her, I promise. You guys saw the clip. Bro. Her hand speed is ridiculous, bro. And we didn't fast forward it.
That's funny for Max. I mean, at least he's having fun out there. He's having fun, and he's talking about fighting Charles Oliveira and basically being a BMF motherfucker. And I'm really hoping he definitely delivers. I'm definitely hoping Max Holloway goes out there and delivers just an amazing fight. Because I tell you what, this UFC 326 is definitely top heavy. And if it wasn't for Charles Oliveira and Max Holloway, this card would be atrocious. I'm just being honest. Let's listen to Charles now.
Uma coisa mais importante? Cara, eu acho que cada teve a sua importância. Quando começou, como foi, a forma que foi, agora o Max vindo fazendo a história dele, eu acho que cada teve um ponto, uma chave para poder fazer cada vez mais valer esse cinturão.
I think each and every fighter that actually has held it has had its importance and giving it its importance. And I think that they've had their ways, and now Max has found a way to give it even more importance to a belt like that.
Let me pause that real fast. Let me read Christian. Christian says, but Marlon Chito Vera, he's laughing out loud. Without a doubt, an Ecuadorian Latino American dead body after losing to David Martinez. Look, Christian, I happen to agree with you. When it comes to Chito Vera, I thought he would actually go out there, with his job on the line and let his hands go. But unfortunately, he was frozen for about 2.5 rounds. It wasn't up until the last minute and 30 seconds of the last third round where we actually saw Marlon Chito Vera find success against a tired David Martinez. Now, congratulations to David Martinez to go out there and actually perform against a veteran like Chito Vera, like he did. But when it comes to Chito Vera, I happen to agree with you. You know what I mean? The stakes are over, guys. Okay? Chito, he's a dead body in a cemetery with a shovel, and he is preparing himself to be buried, guys. And that's facts, okay? Now going back to this interview with Charles Oliveira talking about Max Holloway and, the reasoning, of the BMF title and what does it mean to, Charles Oliveira. And he's absolutely right, you know what I mean? The BMF title belt, a lot of people think is a joke, but in my opinion, I think it's a fun belt. I think it's a belt where you make fun fights. And, George Masvidal was a champion at first, and then now Max Holloway. And it's given meaning to this BMF title belt. It actually is. So we're gonna see if Charles Oliveira can go out there and beat Max Holloway. Easier said than done because Max Holloway is prepared. But let's continue listening to Charles Oliveira break down this BMF title belt contention this Saturday.
What do you think makes a fighter qualify as a BMF?
O que você acha que qualifica lutador para ser o BMF?
Com certeza, toda a história dele, o que ele faz dentro do cage, quem ele é, os recordes, os bônus, as guerras, as lutas aqui dentro, com certeza tudo isso faz você cada vez mais ter a oportunidade de lutar pelo BMF.
Everything that's done inside the cages, the wars, the bonus, the records, and everything else, all those things and who they are as well, qualify to fight for the BMF.
Charles Oliveira, actually, that was a good question. What qualifies you as a contender to be a BMF title contender? Now, Charles Oliveira breaks that down quite beautifully. He's absolutely right. What makes you a contender for the BMF title is what you do inside the octagon, the records that you hold inside the octagon, and not only that, but your ability to actually, your ability to actually fight in a way where actually the fans are actually very much entertained. That's what makes a true BMF contender. And Charles Oliveira broke that down beautifully. I mean, look at Max Holloway right now. You know what I mean? Volume puncher. I believe he holds a record for the most significant strikes. Former champion, defended the BMF title. I mean, the guy is definitely a legend. Christian says David Martinez went out there and completely outclassed Marlon Chito Vera. I am telling you right now, OE, Marlon Chito Vera deserves the farting effect sound instantly. Look, guys, I can't disagree. He deserved 2 in a row for that performance against David Martinez. Now, look, David Martinez is a young athletic fighter. So, look, it was a tough night at the office for Chito, but I'm done. I'm done giving the guy excuses. Atrocious night. Let's continue listening to Charles.
Am I right in saying this is the first time you brought your entire family to a fight week?
Tô certo em dizer que é a primeira vez que você trouxe toda a família para uma semana de luta?
Sim, não, essa é a primeira vez. Meus pais nunca chegaram e tiveram a oportunidade de estar aqui nos Estados Unidos. E pela primeira vez estão aqui nos Estados Unidos numa grande luta, numa algo importante. Com certeza no sábado a gente vai se coroar com isso.
For sure, that's the first time, like the entire.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful that Charles Oliveira is actually, bringing his family into this fight. That's awesome. And this is only the first time. What is going on? What? Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth, you ads. My Dexter says I saw a comment say that Vera should fight for 2 rounds before coming out to fight. LOL. You know what's funny about that? It's funny. I don't even think it was a comment. I don't even think it was a comment. I think it was a comment that one of these analysts actually made. To be honest with you, I thought I saw the comment live happen. You know what I mean? Because they were talking about how Marlon Vera is a slow starter, and how he's in the back right now, warming up and hitting mitts. And they're like, what he should do is get 2 rounds in him before actually coming around. And you know what? I am Dexter. I happen to agree. When it comes to Cheeto, I mean, the guy is just now he's definitely a dead body. And that's facts, okay? And it's atrocious, guys. But let's listen to Cheeto. I mean, let's listen to Michael. Let's listen to Charles Oliveira one more time.
Que a gente lota aquilo, vai ser algo completamente.
To make it happen, to make it in a stadium, Brazil deserves that. The Brazilian people deserve that. Stadium closed, put an octagon in the middle, and we're going to do our job, which is to fill that stadium up to capacity. And listen, Dana, Hunter, McShawn,
I would love to see the UFC go back to, Brazil. It's been a long time since the UFC has gone, to Brazil, but unfortunately, Brazil has their own issues. Honestly, they have their own issues, and that's the reason why the UFC hasn't came back to, to Brazil. But hopefully they go back. We shall see, okay? But anyways, guys, I'm done breaking down this presser and talking about, UFC and this new Paramount deal and this new merger, and I'm done grading it. Okay, the topic of discussion was losers and winners, and I said it, and I'll say it again, guys. Okay, the biggest losers of 2026, in my opinion, will have to be the fans. And I do understand that this new Paramount and the UFC deal, it gives us an ability to actually access the UFC and watch the UFC for a much cheaper rate. We don't have to shell out $80 twice a month to watch a Paramount card. I do understand that. But with that said, guys, the biggest losers of 2026 will have to be the fans. I mean, if you look at the start of 2026, guys, I did rate this start a 4.5. 1 being trash, 10 being best. I'm giving this a 4.5. And the reason being is because if it wasn't for UFC 324 and UFC Fight Night Houston, Texas, 2026 will be atrocious for the UFC. And that's facts, guys. Okay. And the second biggest losers will have to be the fighters. Unfortunately, the cards are atrocious. The fights that they're putting together are atrocious. The amount of titles that are actually being fought for. I mean, guys, we don't have a true title holder, competing for a very long time. Okay? And that's facts. But anyways, guys, I'm really hoping the UFC gets themselves together. I understand Dana White has plans to make an announcement for UFC White House card, for the UFC White House card, excuse me. But I'm really, really hoping that the rest of this year actually delivers. Because if we get if the rest of the year is a 4.5 type of year, we got some big problems. We got some big issues that we need to address as fans, as analysts, and journalists for the UFC. And that's facts, guys. Okay? But anyways, guys, you already know what this is. This is OE MMA TV. I'm your host, OE. Like and subscribe if you are new to the channel. It takes minimal effort to give me the thumbs up, so you already know. You might as well do it. Thank you for supporting independent MMA media, guys. And like I always say, this is your channel. The only channel where the fans come first, not last, guys. I will be going live this Saturday for UFC 326. So stay tuned for that, guys. And if there's any breaking news coming out of Dana White's mouth on Instagram, I will be going live for that as well, guys, okay? One love. Until then.